Most of the cases belong to the so-called FLiRT variants. And for more, we're joined by Dr. Timothy Quinn of Quinn Healthcare in Ridgeland. Good afternoon, Dr. Quinn.
Hey, good afternoon.
Thank you for being with us. First of all, what are these FLiRT variants?
Right, FLiRT. When I first heard that, I had to do some research. Where did that come with that name, FLiRT? And basically, it's due to the changes in the sequence of the amino acids of these new variants. Now, to list, some of these variants are KP2, KP3, LB1. And just to break it all down, I had a patient, I just explained, a variant is a descendant of the original virus that's a little bit different. Now, these variants, these FLiRT variants, they have a change in the amino acid sequence, and it's mostly that spike protein, the part of the virus that attaches to human cells. Now, what happens is when we get our antibodies, as far as getting the vaccines, we build up our antibodies and we can fight the current variants. But what happens is when we get these new variants, there's something different about them where the antibodies don't recognize them as well. And now they have what's called an advantage. And that's why we're seeing the uptick, because we're exposed to the older variants, but the newer variants, even though we have the protection, they're able to evade the protection a little bit more. And that's why we're getting more people infected. We need everybody that's been vaccinated really needs to get revaccinated with the latest vaccines that has the later changes, so we can recognize these new variants and protect ourselves the best.
Dr. Quinn, should we, with these new variants, should we expect, instead of just an uptick, a surge in cases this summer?
We possibly can, but what we have to do is protect ourselves as much as we can. Now, if we're somebody that has not been vaccinated in over a year, let's go ahead and get the new vaccines that are updated with the newer protection that's more likely to protect us against these new variants. If you're somebody that's immunocompromised, say, for instance, you have chronic medical conditions, meaning your immune system might not be as strong. Let's say you're elderly. Then you want to limit your exposure. So next weekend, for the big 4th of July celebration, if it's indoors, let's maybe not go. Let's stay at home and protect ourselves because we're more vulnerable. Then the second thing, if we're traveling, let's be cognitive that there's more of these new variants out there, and if we're immunocompromised, let's limit our travel and maybe go back to wearing masks. It's okay. That's a good thing. Protect yourself as much as you can if you're vulnerable.
Now, Dr. Quinn, my question is this new COVID vaccine that treats this FLiRT variant, are those available? I mean, if we go, will we know we're getting that one?
Right. All the pharmacies and doctors' offices that provide the vaccines, what they've done over the last 3 or 4 years is when a new one comes out, they replace it for the old one. So they're going to give you the latest vaccine because at the end of the day, they want to provide you the best protection possible.
Now, how about people who've had COVID recently? Do they have any kind of immunity against this particular infection coming out from the FLiRT variants?
Right. There's a high probability that pretty much everybody has had COVID at least once, even if they don't know it. And we have in our bodies what are called antibodies, and they recognize the COVID that you had. If you had COVID 2 years ago, chances are these new variants are a little bit different, and the antibodies that you currently have might not be quite as effective against these new variants that have that different spike protein that I talked about early on, meaning that it's better able to evade those antibodies and you're more at risk. So if you have any symptoms such as fever, cough, runny nose, go get tested. You can do a test in a pharmacy. You can purchase a test over the counter. And then that way, if you have COVID, you'll be aware and you can separate yourself from other people like grandma.
Well, the new current COVID-19 vaccines against the FLiRT variants, do we know how well they're working? Is there any information on that yet?
We don't know that yet, but still, only thing you can do is when you drive, you put your seatbelt on, and you don't know if you have a wreck, you won't get hurt. But you want to protect yourself as much as you can. Getting the latest vaccine, you're putting yourself in the best position that you can.
Dr. Quinn, all you can do is what you can do, I think is what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for
Very
being with
good
us
advice.
and telling us about this variant. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me.